Hi everybody, Lillian Isabella, this is PKU Chat. I'm here with Bernadette.
Hi!
And she's awesome. We met just yesterday, and she's an incredible, empowered advocate for PKU. So, let's get right into it.
Such a party.
So, how would you describe your relationship to PKU?
So, first and foremost, I'm a parent of a child who has PKU. I'm also a PKU advocate and I'm a researcher. So I have 3 caps really, in relation to PKU. So yeah,
Cool.
that's hard because sometimes those roles conflict in terms of what it is you're trying to achieve. And ultimately, with all 3 caps, I'd like to think that I have a patient-centered approach. But like I said, sometimes it is difficult, as I've talked to you about before, because just recently, in terms of a campaign for a medical drug, I am highlighting problems with dietary therapy, which is not very supportive of PKU community that are trying to maintain diet, particularly parents of young babies have just becoming aware of what it is, and they're being told about dietary therapy and how incredibly important it is, and it is incredibly important. Dietary therapy is a very effective treatment for the PKU community, and I think that we need to more often than not be more mindful, and we need to think about, I guess as I was saying to you earlier as well, to live in the now and to support patients in the now. I think sometimes anxiety as a parent, as a researcher, and everybody, we're trying to find this ultimate cure. And don't get me wrong, I do think that's really, really important. But I do think that we need to be very mindful about people who are in, as it's so-called, like one researcher said yesterday, that patients of PKU are undergoing a 70-year experiment, right now. And it's true, we're trying dietary therapy out on our patients, and I even hate to call them patients, as a parent, but that's what they are, and I hate to call it a rare disease, but in terms of advocacy and research, that's what it is. Getting back to the whole thing of the living in the here and now, that I think we need to be looking more about what we can do to support patients and their families right now.
Yes.
We need to be looking at the incredible role that dietary therapy plays, and we need to be looking at improving products available. We need to be increasing awareness around people knowing what PKU is, so that when somebody with PKU goes into a restaurant, that people actually know what that is. When you try and explain to a teacher or to a healthcare worker, they're not confused by the term, and yet they understand the term without being frightened by it. So we and as parents, I think we have a responsibility to not feed anxiety and to try. It's very hard to do because we have such a responsible role to play, but I think that we need to be very mindful of our own anxiety levels, because we can pass that on to our children, and I think that's very destructive. It's more destructive almost than the actual condition itself. We need to think about the overall well-being of PKU children and adults to make sure that we're supporting them to the best of our ability.
And how do you do that, like now with your daughter? What are some ways that you try and show it in a positive, constructive light, like you're saying?
I educate her. I don't keep a lot from her. Obviously, I don't go into great detail on it either. I try and involve her and give her responsibility for managing the diet. So I'd like to think I'm empowering her to take responsibility, which is a real positive thing to do. Like, she counts her own exchanges, her grams of protein per day, and she's actually one of the best at maths in her class. Her teachers told me.
That's incredible.
And she's doing extremely well at school. But I think giving her responsibility has made her more of a resilient person. PKU doesn't bother her as much as it bothers me. And it's funny actually, when I meet adults, sometimes they'll agree with me on that. They'll say our parents are a wreck, but we're actually okay. We're doing just fine. But you guys really need to chill out.
I think that's true for me too. Like, I feel pretty good about PKU. And like you were saying before, there isn't a lot of focus on the diet because they want a more comprehensive cure for it, which I understand. The diet really does help a lot.
Yes.
You know?
Oh, it certainly does.
Yeah.
I don't know where we'd be without diet.
Yeah.
And there are many adults that are doing extremely well on diet. And I think we should be focusing our research on why they're doing so well so we can support people in the community right now.
Yeah.
So there are people who are struggling with diet because perhaps they're not getting access to medical foods.
Yeah.
And that's a big issue.
Yeah.
So that's something we need to be putting more, emphasis on that right now to support
What's
people with
already
PKU right now.
Yeah.
And those that are flourishing and they're doing really well. And I'm not just talking about academically. I mean, they're doing well as in they're happy.
Yeah.
And they have, in terms of their overall well-being, they feel socially included. I'm talking about everything.
Yeah.
So why are they doing so well?
Yeah.
Why are they doing so well? And how can we bring that into the lives of other people with PKU? And that's really important. And I'd like to learn that for my daughter. I'd like to learn it as an advocate. I'd like to learn it as a scientist, because I think that's something that can help to empower PKU. We need to listen to people who are living with the condition a whole lot more, because you know what's best for you, and we need to be listening a whole lot more. As a researcher, an advocate, and a scientist, we need to find out it needs a patient-centered approach. And there I go, patient again. See,
it's okay. I mean, it's interesting. It's back and forth. Like when you think of your daughter, how do you think of? You don't think of obviously as her as a patient,
and I don't think she has a disease.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
As an advocate, when I'm fighting for something like Kuvan, absolutely, I'm going to say this is very serious. And to get that point across to policymakers, all stakeholders, I'm going to call it a rare disease. And I'm going to call people with PKU patients. As a scientist, they're volunteers who take part in research, and but I think we need to think more about the endpoints, and this was brought up at the NPKUA, and they were talking about patient-centered approach, and they were talking about endpoints. So we need to be finding out specifically, not from the parents, not from the researchers, not from the advocates, but from the people who are actually living with PKU, the adults who've lived with it for years, not just the children, but the adults who've lived with it for a really long time. And what is it that you want from the broader community to improve your quality of life? What is it that you need in the here and now? Because you're only in this world for a short time.
Yeah.
You don't want to be an experiment for the rest of your life.
Right.
I don't want my child to be an experiment for the next number of years.
Right.
See how dietary therapy is going. Let's try this new therapy. Let's try that new therapy. As a scientist, of course, I think that's great, and we need this in order to progress treatments. But I think we need to be more mindful, and we need, for the overall well-being of people with PKU and to empower PKU, we need to live in the here and now and actually let them just live. Just live.
How do we do that? How do
we listen? Went around and I spoke to adults, and I just listened. And I went to a workshop with you yesterday, which was an adult-focused one as well, because I want to learn. I want to learn from adults, so I have a better understanding how I can help as a parent, as an advocate, and as a researcher.
And you came all the way here from Ireland, right?
Yes, I did.
So that's incredible. What's the state of PKU in Ireland right now?
So in Ireland, we offer dietary therapy is our main treatment for PKU management, and I'm really proud of Ireland right now, I have to say. I think that we're doing extremely well. We're a closely knit community. We have low protein weekends, and we support one another. In terms of adult care, we could certainly, there's room for improvement. The infrastructure of our adult care in Ireland, and it's been acknowledged that there's some work to be done on that. What we're hoping to do is bring more qualitative research to inform the decision makers on whether or not to recommend to support new therapies coming through for PKU. That's really important. So we've done the PKU Association of Ireland. I'm very proud of the organisation. I've done a lot of work around this over the last year, and we've highlighted, and our ministers have come on board, and our healthcare workers in Temple Street and Matter. I'm so proud to be Irish, and I'm so proud of our community and how we've come together.
That's incredible.
Extremely proud. And I think we're in a really good place right now, and I think it's only going to get better if we can work together with our American counterparts and all PKUers around the world.
So what would you recommend to a new parent of someone with PKU, like as far as a way to understand it, or a tactic that you use to help get care?
I think it really was helpful for me to meet parents of older kids to know there was light at the end of the tunnel. Brenda from Cook for Love, she talks about her daughter and she wished she was 5 so she could rewind the clock and enjoy her. When my daughter was a year old, I turned to my husband and I said, we actually have a daughter. And I thought that was really, really sad. And I think about it so often. I look at pictures of my daughter when she was younger. I didn't remember that she was so fair, she was so blonde. I didn't remember different things, and that makes me really sad because first and foremost I had a child and all I ever saw was PKU. And my motto for parents is control the controllables. Do what you can. So for me, I work as an advocate because I talk a lot. But also I can offer support in research, but that's my therapy, and that's how I can help, as well as, of course, you know, helping my daughter to manage her condition, helping to support her. And so if people want to help and be an advocate for PKU, I think they need to start listening to people with the condition, in order to learn how best to do all of those things.
What do you love about PKU and the PKU community?
Oh, that's so easy. Oh my God, that's the easiest question. I love that I have really close friends, and I could cry when I say this, and I mean it, that I have met from all over the world. And I feel a special connection to somebody because they get where you're coming from, and I mean parents, I mean everybody, people with PKU. You feel a special connection, and it's funny because people always say when you meet them, oh my God, we're probably related. John Adams, my daughter was first diagnosed, and I contacted Canadian PKU. I contacted everybody, and I remember John Adams saying, welcome to our PKU family. I said that to him this weekend. I was like, I hated you. I was like, I have a family, I come from a big family already, and it was like soul destroying for me, but now I totally get what he means. I feel so comfortable amongst people from all over that I've met here this week, and anytime I attend any PKU conference, I just feel a special connection, and I feel a level of understanding that people have towards each other, and an openness to learn from each other as well. There's always that special bond.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's
definitely.
very true.
That's really easy. To answer.
Cool. Okay, so that was our interview. And Bernadette, where are you off to now?
I am going to Ireland, and then I'm flying to Brussels because we've got a PKU event in the European Parliament. The SPKU have organised, raise awareness. And there's 2 Irish MEPs that are going to be hosting it, Deirdre Clune and MEP Childers from Ireland. So I'm really proud that they're doing that. And so myself and Karen Willits from the PKU Association of Ireland are going to be tagging along. So I'm looking forward to that.
Cool, that's awesome. All right. Well, bye.
Bye.